Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another phenomenal fantasy baseball video today. We're going to actually talk about something really relevant, and that is spring training. As you can tell from the little background, we're on the MLB.com spring training website. And specifically what I wanted to talk about today was how much stock you should put into a player's spring training performance. I'm going to go over a few examples from last year of guys who you may have thought, due to their performance in spring training, would have had huge seasons but wound up really having awful seasons. And so I guess we'll start with the very obvious one. If you watched any spring training baseball last year, played fantasy baseball last year, I almost said fantasy football, or did anything baseball related last year, you would know that Eric Hosmer just absolutely dominated absolutely dominated spring training last year. He hit .429 with 4 homers. He was just absolutely on fire. He was a beast. Everyone was so high on Eric Hosmer. Everyone was taking Eric Hosmer so early. He shot up draft boards because of his amazing performance in spring training. However, as many of us know, if you continued watching baseball, he had an awful season. Let's actually check his regular season stats. So he hit .429 in spring training, and he wound up hitting .212 for the season. He had just about 4 times as many home runs in the majors as he did, or 4 times as many home runs in the regular season as he did in spring training, and that's just bad. Eric Hosmer was not good last year, and he had an amazing spring performance. So if you're looking at guys who are having a huge spring performance whenever you're watching this, this is something you should definitely consider. A guy who's not fantastic, who hasn't been a fantastic player in his career, has an amazing spring training. Everyone wants to immediately just jump on the bandwagon and assume it's real. But there are so many instances where it's not, and Mike Moustakas is a prime example of that. So now we're going to go to Javier Baez, another guy who had a huge spring last year in 2014. He hit .264 with 5 home runs in 53 plate appearances. And after this performance, everyone was talking about how, Javier Baez is definitely going to be in the majors this year. He's going to be in the majors coming out of spring training. Even if he's not, he's going to get called up a few weeks in after they secure that year of arbitration eligibility. And as we all know, Javier Baez didn't get his call-up until late July, I'm pretty sure. And even then, he was pretty bad. He hit under 200 for the season, and he struck out about every other at bat. It was just not good performance. So you're looking at rookies who may perform extremely well in spring training. I'm not going to point out everyone, but I'm saying Kris Bryant. He's nowhere near to the extent as Javier Baez is. Kris Bryant doesn't have all the strikeout rate issues. Kris Bryant is highly regarded prospect and widely accepted as major league ready already. There's still so many questions with Javier Baez, but I'm saying guys like Jock Peterson, it's foreseeable that he could have a good spring performance, but he might not make the Major League roster. Now, with Matt Kemp being traded, obviously, there's huge potential that he will make the Major League roster. But other top prospects, I would say Michael Taylor, but with Denard Span being hurt, Michael Taylor's almost assured an opening day spot. But some other rookies, some guys that I'm not thinking about right now, maybe like a Jose Peraza for the Braves. He's on pace to just tear up AAA. The manager wants him, and in the major leagues, he's looking like he's going to have a good spring, but the organization doesn't want to bring him up because they want those few extra years. So Javier Baez's situation could happen to so many other guys. I would be very cautious when drafting minor leaguers who have a huge spring because you never know when they're going to get sent back down. And if you guys want my advice for pitchers, how to look and see how pitchers are doing in spring training, all the hits they give up, all the runs they give up, all the walks they give up, don't mind any of that. One last thing about hitters is also take into consideration who they're playing against. So a guy like Javier Baez 2 years ago in 2013, he had 4 home runs, a .298 average in 47 plate appearances, or 47 at-bats actually. What you got to consider is he's playing against a lot of guys who aren't going to crack the major leagues. Some guys who are going to go down to Double-A, some guys who are going to go down to Single-A, some guys who may even be waiting tables next week. You don't know who these guys are facing a lot of the time, and you should really factor that into seeing their statistics and stuff. So if I were to tell you that Javier Baez hit 3 home runs this spring, and they were against, let's say, Masahiro Tanaka, Matt Harvey, and Clayton Kershaw. He hit those 3 home runs. You'd think that a lot better than if he hit 3 home runs against, let's say, 3 guys who are going to go down to Double-A next week, or 2 guys that are going to go down to Triple-A, and 1 guy who's going to be released. You'd look at those in a lot different light. So now, back to pitchers, as I was saying, don't really take into account their statistics. Watch some of their spring training pitching. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. You can probably definitely find it on MLB.com. Watch some of the highlights and watch for their pitch control. Now, many people say, how can you see a pitcher's pitch control? How do you know if they're throwing pitches accurately? What you have to pay attention to is, are they hitting the spot where the catcher is setting up? Are they able to hit the glove? How much does the catcher need to move the glove in order to catch the ball? That's how you can determine how accurately a pitcher is throwing the ball, and that is a great statistic. So if you know that a guy is struggling with control issues in spring training, and he's going into the major leagues, he had a good spring training though. He didn't give up any runs, he struck out a bunch of guys, but he was having those control issues. You notice that. That guy could wind up being a huge bust pick that year. And then if you look at guys who have fantastic control, but they're just having poor springs, they're getting beat in some spots, that's a guy that has huge breakout potential. He could be a sleeper in your draft, and definitely is worth the chance to take. Now, one last thing I wanted to throw in at the end of this video here is Hunter Pence. So I'm seeing Hunter Pence literally just fall down draft boards like a rock. Like he is a rock in a paper sack being dropped off the top of the Empire State Building. That's how fast he's dropping. I was just in a mock draft the other day where he fell to pick like 150, and that is absolutely ridiculous. He has way more value than that. He's only going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, and if he does miss that 6 weeks, let's say he misses that 6 weeks, that means he comes in 2, maybe 3 weeks into the season. Still, you're going to have almost an entire season of Hunter Pence, and you're taking him pick 150. That is a phenomenal value. You should really consider taking that. In a 10-team league, that's like the 16th round. You can get Hunter Pence, a guy that's going to be a phenomenal player. And I think that Hunter Pence is just falling way too far down draft boards. I would definitely take him in probably like the 80s, 90s, maybe the 120s. Somewhere in that range is definitely a great spot to take Hunter Pence because he's going to provide beautiful, beautiful value. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy, if you could put up with my rambling, please drop a like rating if you did enjoy. As always, I encourage you to comment down below, letting me know what you guys thought of this episode. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.